This is Wretched Radio with Todd.
A swing and a miss. This is Wretched Radio. Another demonstration how the unbelievers, well, they will devour one another. It is not a nice place to live when it comes to secular humanism. When man says there is no God, we'll figure out this shebang all by ourselves. It might, on the surface, sound very attractive to people because they think they'll be joining the big we can do whatever we want club. But secular humanism isn't nice. We've seen this over and over again. Secular humanists will devour their own on a whim. At the turn of an event, or somebody changes their mind on something, a former ally becomes an instant foe in the world of secular humanism. Now, let me see if you can guess who the current victim of secular humanism is. I want you, Tony, to think of, Joey, you can participate also. Think of a secular humanist who has been a champion for the cause in our current culture, who is now getting smacked by his very own. Would you like to take a guess and see?
Sure.
All right, have at it. Not Tim Tebow. That'd be a bad guess. Go ahead.
No, it wouldn't be Tim Tebow. It would be. I don't know.
Well, just pick anybody who's not a Christian who's popular these days.
Oh.
Like Bill Maher. That would be a good guess, but you're wrong. Although Bill Maher is getting devoured, though, isn't he? Come to think of it,
he is.
That is another example. What was that racist thing that he supposedly said? I can't recall the details of it, so I'm not trying to give an opinion.
Who's the actor that just got hammered? He's played in the second Spider-Man series. He just did the SDA World War II movie, Hacksaw Ridge.
Andrew Garfield.
Oh, the skinny
he just
Spider-Man.
got hammered because he thinks he's gay. No, because he... What?
He's gay except for the act, I think.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Well, my understanding of that is he's in a play, and he plays a gay man, but he was being he said, I'm a gay man, but I don't participate in any of those activities. This to me was another one of those demonstrations. Hey, I think homosexuality is great. I'm not homosexual myself, but I'm just saying. But just so you know, that's kind of what he did. Did he get hammered for that? Because...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Even whilst he's playing a gay man, by simply stating, I don't do that myself. Rah! Okay, wow, now we've got ourselves a list going. We got Bill Maher, we've got the skinny Spider-Man, and Richard Dawkins.
Dawkins?
The Dawkins is now taking a beating. He was invited August 9th to speak at the University of California, Berkeley. Where else? It's a perfect place for him to go and speak. He is promoting his new book, something about the rambling musings of an atheist. The book is called Science in the Soul. Richard, I'm sorry. If this means that somehow science in the soul, if he's replacing soul with science, well, that would be pretty classic Enlightenment thinking. But if he means that somehow you can scientifically measure the soul or replace the soul with science, selected writings of a passionate realist. By the way, speaking of Richard Dawkins, the anti-creationist, and speaking of the Enlightenment era, if you're anywhere near Kentucky, say coming up this week, can't wait. The Worldview Conference at Answers in Genesis. It's going to be a goodie. I get to be there. I speak Thursday morning on the subject of secular humanism. I'm actually looking forward to it a great deal. See you there. I'm sure you can learn more at Answers in Genesis' website, because I never remember if it's .com or .org at the Answers in Genesis place. Richard Dawkins was invited by KPFA, which is a radio station, but they pulled the plug on Richard Dawkins. Why? His hurtful speech.
Richard Dawkins?
He said hurtful speech, yes. On occasion,
Dawkins?
Richard Dawkins, like a blind shed in the knife twice a day, comes up with something. He recognizes Islam, wee bit of a problem. He speaks out about it. That's hurtful speech, so he's being canceled. I'm sure there was some money involved with that transaction. We had booked this event based entirely on his excellent new book on science. When we didn't know he had offended and hurt in his tweets and other comments on Islam so many people. Now, that's ridiculous. I know that he said these things. How a talk station, which is what I presume they are, or an NPR-like station didn't know that, is rather fantastic to me. Nevertheless, here's the first swing and a miss. KPFA does not endorse hurtful speech. Isn't that the entire purpose of the free speech rights that we have? Because sometimes...
You are so naive. Used to be, not so much anymore.
I'm so naive, I probably think this story is about me. Did I get that? Right. While KPFA emphatically supports, get ready for this, serious speech, we don't support abusive speech. So now we've got categories of speech that gets protected and doesn't. So if you're serious without hurting, that gets protected. But if you're serious and you hurt, or maybe you don't even hurt, but you're not serious, I don't know. They're still working out the whole details on this freedom of speech thing. They put it in categories. They pulled the plug. Richard Dawkins responds with an open letter. And at first, you're thinking, ooh, he hit a home run with this. No, prepared for a strike number 2. Wrote the Dawkins, I'm known as a frequent critic of Christianity. I've never been deplatformed for that. That sweet. It's kind of hard to cheer for Richard Dawkins, isn't it? It's sort of like cheering for Friedrich Nietzsche. There's 2 times you can actually cheer for Nietzsche. One is that when he said God is dead because we killed him, there's more to the context of that. Now what do we do? How do we live? Morality, values. We now are untethered from everything. And you applaud that, but it's just kind of hard to do because it's Nietzsche. But there's another way Nietzsche can be applauded, and I'll be talking about this at Answers in Genesis. He saw that Immanuel Kant, who really was the individual who sparked the counter-enlightenment period, in other words, he started to criticize, supported it, but wanted to put he was a little bit critical of the persistence in relying on logic and reason. And Kant heard, or Nietzsche heard what Kant was saying, and he said, if Kant becomes popular with this idea that logic and reason can be questioned, get ready, you're going to have complete moral relativism. And he was exactly right, because Kant led to Heidegger and the German philosophers who then said, hey, we can't be relying on reason and logic. In fact, we don't even know that it exists, which led to then the postmodern philosophers, which have led to the insanity that we are living in today. Nietzsche was right in that regard. But it's kind of hard to say it, isn't it? Richard Dawkins is right in this regard when he said, how come I haven't been deplatformed? He said far worse about Christianity. Why do you give Islam a free pass? Why is it fine to criticize Christianity but not Islam? That's a good question, isn't it? But he continues, and this is where he misses. Dawkins insisted that the assertions of hurtful and abusive speech about Islam are not correct because, quote, I have called Islam ism vile. But surely you, of all people, understand that Islamism is not the same as Islam. So what did he do? He swung and he missed. He fell right into their game. He agreed. Yes, there is serious speech and there is abusive speech. I didn't commit abusive speech because I didn't poke at Islam. I poked at Islamism, which is a perversion of Islam. No, Richard, you should have said, look, if you disagree with me and you didn't want to book me, no, then fire me if you want to. There's going to be a little bit of a legal issue here, but fire me if you choose to. But speech is protected whether you like it or not. Richard. Quote, I have criticized the ridiculous pseudoscientific claims made by Islamic apologists. Now, he should have said Islamicist apologists, but so much for consistency. And the opposition of Islamicist scholars. I added the Islamicist just to clean it up for him. To evolution and other scientific truths. I've criticized the appalling misogyny and homophobia of Islam. He should have said Islamism. I've criticized the murdering of apostates for no crime other than disbelief. That's funny. He also once tweeted, London Gay Pride March, police happy with Jesus' gay banners, but banned Allah is gay bannered. KPFA grade hypocrisy. He's tweeted nasty things about everybody else, but he tweets one critical thing about Islam, and he gets fired. Why? Secular humanism is not a nice world to live in. Richard Dawkins, the latest case in point. This is Wretched Radio.
Thanks for listening to the Wretched segment du jour. If you'd like more Wretched, you can listen to the most current stream for free at wretched.tv/listen, or you can become a club member and listen to our entire archive. Wretched, reaching the lost, equipping the saints, and strengthening the local church.